Everybody, hello? Gang. Excuse me. Good. I can't get this group to settle down. They're so excited. Good. Good morning. Welcome to our third Laguna Hills Mutual Board of Directors meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order. We have a quorum, and we would now ask our Director and Treasurer, Steve Parsons, to give the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay. Before we start, if everyone would turn off their cell phones, please.
I did.
Excellent. Everyone.
Me too.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You don't have a pen? I can go to.
I would like to acknowledge that the media is present. So now we need a motion to approve the agenda.
I so move.
Second? Thank you, Jules. Discussion? Yes, Roy?
I would like to suggest that we move 13C to the closed session. It includes a contract as well as a request for supplemental for fire mitigation. I would also like to make a change in the consent calendar. It's a Scrivener's change on
It's a correction.
A correction?
Not a change.
A3. Should read, replace enclosed patio with room on original footprint. And on B1, bullet 3, it should read, deny request to remove silk oak tree with direction for staff to complete off-schedule pruning within 60 days, not for 60 days.
Thank you.
And I believe we wanted to move the D, which is the update third mutual committee and GRF committee assignments, to discussion. And I think, was that all? Help me out, guys. Bert?
Yes, Bert?
This is just a correction. There's a redundancy on page 13F, page 1 and 2 of 79. There's a repetition of the same paragraph on 1 and 2. That's the trust.
Okay, and there's also a correction under unfinished business. It says none, but there are 2 items listed, so that would not be none. And is there anything else? Okay, so we have the agenda. We have a motion to update or to slightly change the agenda. So we have a motion. We have motions to do that. Do we have a second?
Yeah, second.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay. All right, so the next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. And we're going to do these individually because I believe one of the directors has a correction. So do we have a motion to approve June 8th?
So move.
Second?
Second.
Those in favor? Okay. And Whitney, we're so not used to having the things to vote on the screen that we're just plodding along here. So I don't want to get us out of rhythm until we get into the whole thing. So the minutes for June 19th,
I so move.
Second.
any discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Okay, look at all these people voted. Yay. All right, good. Okay, and then the last one, is this the one with the correction, Roy? I thought there was a correction on the minutes. No? Oh, okay, all right. Well, then I shouldn't have separated them, sorry. On June 25th, motion to approve,
I so move.
second? All those in favor? So are we voting and raising our hands, or are we alternating? All right. Whitney, would you like us to move to using the electrical system for the rest of the day?
It's totally up to you.
Board?
Let's try it.
All right, so we're going to do that now that we got through this. All right,
That means Chuck can't leave.
that means Chuck has to stay, you're right. Okay, so we guess we tied Chuck up. Okay, the next item is the report of the chair. We have two directors missing from the meeting today. Bill Walsh is at the hospital with his wife, who is getting surgery. It's not life-threatening, so we wish her luck and him luck. And Jack is at home still recovering, and he didn't join us by phone because he said he's on a different time schedule because of some issues that he's had. So, but the rest of the board is here, and thank you for being here. The primary activity, other than us constantly being involved in M&C matters, mostly, and landscape, and compliance, and everything else, is we've been spending a lot of time with the board and with the different committees and with our finance director on the budget, and we're into the second version of the budget, and we come back to our televised meeting. Do you know the date of that? Can Siobhan, could you find? August 10th. Look at it. At what time?
9:30.
9:30. Okay, so it'll be televised on August 10th at 9:30. And we do welcome people to come to our meetings. There will be some changes, but we've really worked very, very diligently on it. So we'll be reporting at our meeting as to all of the changes and what we're working on. All right, so that is the report of the chair. We will now go to open forum, which is welcoming any one of our members to please come up. Do we have anyone who has given you their name?
Chris Collins.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
Hi, Rosemary. 3306Q. I'm here representing the Foundation for Laguna Woods Village. Eat carrots or leave a legacy. We've all heard the myth that eating carrots will improve eyesight. Unfortunately, this is only a myth, and aging sometimes brings with it failing eyesight, be it from glaucoma, macular degeneration, stroke, or other conditions. One of the village's past residents, Dr. Adeline Bonin, did experience vision problems, and when she passed away, a bequest in her memory was left to the foundation of Laguna Woods Village. And those funds are now being used to help present residents meet their vision challenges. Some of those funds now help residents using Braille services to buy needed equipment. Some were used to purchase talking books for the village library, and most recently, will be used to purchase large print books for the library. Legacy funds make a difference. They help the foundation of Laguna Woods Village meet both ongoing and unmet village needs. The foundation would like to acknowledge the contribution of past and recent legacy donors, both living and past, who have remembered the foundation in their wills, trusts, estates, or annuities. The foundation is grateful for their support. The legacy donors include the following: Eloise DeLucia, BJ and Cleo Dennis, Hildegard Tetchian, Adeline Bonin, Lawrence Gavin, Marcia Brown, Elaine Lerner, Marion Schlesinger, Bonnie Sullivan, Ralph Reinhard, Erwin and Marcella Levy, Isabel Biggins, Samuel Lebowitz, Leslie McHenry Adamson, Sarah and Jerome Lederer, Annie Peterson, Deanna Hamsher, Gladys Kennedy, Wilma Ledden, Ruth Belson, and Jane Ruth Robichaud. If you'd like to become a legacy donor, we suggest that you first contact your tax, financial, and or legal advisor about any IRA-related or estate planning actions, or the Foundation of Laguna Woods Village at 949-268-2246, or online, the foundation at comline.com. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris. Is there anyone else? Wow, well, that is fast. Thank you. Okay, so now the next item on the agenda is VMS. And we have our director, our representative, Marcy Scheinwald here. Before Marcy speaks, we would like to announce that we voted in a new VMS board member about 2 weeks ago, and that was Raquel Unger. So we welcome Raquel, and she's already gone through an orientation with Marcy. So tomorrow will be her first VMS meeting with us.
And we promise to be kind to her.
Okay. All right, so go ahead, Marcy, and thank you.
Good morning. I'm Marcy Scheinwald. I'm a VMS board member. I've been on the board almost 2 years. And I have to tell you that when people hear that I'm on the board, I am still questioned as to what VMS does. Why are we here? How do we relate to the other boards? How do we do our work? We came into existence, as all of you know, almost 2.5 years ago. We are different than the housing boards. We do not try to replicate the important work of the housing boards, which essentially maintain the safety and well-being of the manors. Third Mutual, the condos, United, the co-ops. In turn, GRF oversees, takes care of all of the commonly used areas. When those boards make policy, when they make changes in how the village is going to operate, if they refine what is happening in the village, it is the VMS administration and employees who try to make that a reality. We are essentially the people part of the equation. Usually we say that we oversee the administration and the employees. Clearly we have a very close relationship with Brad, who tells us both good news and sometimes some not so good news. We deal with issues related to the employees and administration, such as productivity, compensation, evaluation, and retention. There are 9 members of our board, 3 appointed by each of the other boards. Clearly, I've been appointed by Third Mutual. How do we do our job? As I've reported previously, we meet on a rotating basis with the senior department heads of all of the major departments on a bi-weekly basis. They tell us what's going on, success, obstacles, what needs to be done to make it more effective. During the month of June alone, we met with Chuck Holland. I always need a translator when Chuck comes because I understand all of the IT language. And then more recently with Carrie Weldon, who is the new Human Resources Director. At our meeting tomorrow, we will be meeting with Betty Parker, who is the financial officer for the village. And in follow-up meetings in August, we will be meeting with Bruce Hartley and Tim Moy. I should also point out that tomorrow will also include a follow-up session with Carrie Weldon, because there are issues related to the people part of the equation that need to be addressed on a more ongoing basis. In addition to these meetings, we recently updated a strategic plan for the village. I believe copies of that plan were given to the officers of Third Mutual and perhaps to all members. It is available if you have not already received a copy. Essentially, what we try to do, because we can't conquer the universe, is to make meaningful objectives which will help the village move forward. Each of the directors who come to us on the biweekly basis tell us if they're meeting progress on their portion of the strategic plan. And the board itself reviews the plan on a bi-monthly basis. Let me give you some examples of what we hope are realistic objectives for the coming months. We believe that the number of people using Dwelling Live should be doubled, because that will take a significant amount of pressure off of staff in answering telephone calls. We want to increase the number of gate arms. Clearly, that is a measure that is important for village security and safety. We want to improve the village welcome center and materials for new residents so that they have a better way of transitioning into their living in the village. We want to evaluate the handyman service that was recently implemented by United. Does it work? Is it successful? How could it be improved? We want to develop and implement staff training for a crisis communication plan. We have, in recent months, see where there have been issues in the village, that crisis communication is essential. We want to provide continued customer service training in recreation. That staff comes in contact with residents on an ongoing basis. And we want to increase the use of credit cards online to make resident payment of fees easier. Clearly, we have a work plan ahead of us. And we should note that the village is affected by the same changes in the economy as the larger community, the low unemployment rate. So I have to tell you that priorities for VMS in the coming weeks and months is retention, recruitment, and training. In the past month, in June alone, our new Human Resources Director aggressively hired 28 new hires to ensure that adequate staffing is available. 9 employees moved up. And employee training is planned in such areas as hazard communication, asbestos removal, forklift use, a topic not near and dear to me, but essential, and CPR first aid. I would like to end by focusing on how village staff makes a difference. First, we all know the problems related to water intrusion. There has been in the past year a 42% improvement in completing restoration of manors damaged by water intrusion. In other words, from reporting to completion of work, in the past year, it's gone from 28 days to 16.3 days, which is an improvement that affects residents. Second, Velny Soren is involved in the inspection of all 81 three-story buildings, checking for damage and needed repairs, and following up to ensure that work is done. It is my understanding that the building captains are very pleased with her work. Finally, one of the village lifeguards, Emilio Barcerto, saved the life of a swimmer suffering a medical emergency 2 weekends ago. What is extraordinary is this is the second time he saved a life. He did it last January at Pool 5. So we do have a great deal in terms of being grateful to the efforts of our employees and staff. There are continuing challenges to meet. I welcome the opportunity to meet with this board to hear your concerns, and hopefully together we can address them in the coming months. Thank you.
Just to let our community know, we meet with a member of VMS once a month, the chair and the co-chair we have a president, first vice president meeting. So at that point, the different boards meet with them and tell them about any issues. So they hear it then. And then we also are trying to actively participate in attending the VMS meeting, so because we can do that and we can be heard. And also, after our meeting today, we invite Marcy to attend our board luncheon, and we let her is a good word. We ask her to stay for the first little part right after the luncheon, so that if we have anything in particular that we believe needs to be addressed, that we let her know so she could take it back to the board. So we really are trying very hard to communicate with VMS with the understanding that in order to take care of if this is a service business, so in order to take care of the service, we have to have it done by our people, and our people are our staffs, and you work with the staff and with the CEO. So thank you very much, Marcy. We'll see you later.
Hey, Bert has a question.
Yes, Bert?
Quick question. How did we recognize this lifeguard, aside from...
I do not know, but I will defer to Brad. I know it was, What's Up in the Village, the e-blast that came out on Friday. There was a special mention of Emilio's actions, and I know the first time that he saved a life, the GRF board had, specifically recognized his efforts, but maybe Brad has something
Yes,
else.
that's correct, and that'll happen again. He'll be presented a proclamation by the GRF board.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so now we're ready. I was going to joke and say we're ready to move to the consent calendar, but we are ready to move to the CEO report. And we ask you, please, our CEO, to report on things that are not primarily Third Mutual, because all of the different directors like to report on their own stuff.
Really? I hadn't heard that before. Honorable
Well,
Madam-
now you hear it again.
Honorable Madam President, members of the board, Third Community, it's always a pleasure to share the many great things that are going on here. I guess I'm not going to share all of them, but somebody will, I'm told.
If we forget.
Then I can jump in. Okay,
Right.
good.
So that means
good.
you have
I
to stay.
reserved rights.
Then you have to stay.
Anyway, as the President mentioned, we've spent a lot of time on the budget over the last really a couple of months, and I think we've got it pretty much honed in, and it's an aggressive work plan with a lot of improvements for the community, for our members' manners, and other community areas, and I look forward to finalizing that, and as well as the other mutuals as well. It's been a pretty exhaustive effort, and I think we're seeing more work completed perhaps than ever before. I did want to let you know that, and I think this is pretty important, if you've made a doctor's appointment lately or ordered something from a pharmacy, they harass you unmercilessly to either come pick it up, send you texts and phone calls and emails, or remind you of your appointment. Well, guess what? We've decided to join the party. And so now when you request a repair from Resident Services, you'll be getting a text and a phone call from us saying, we got your request. And when our guys are on their way to your manor, you'll get another little communication from us saying they're going to be there in a little while. And then after they're done, you'll get another communication from us asking you if your work was completed to your satisfaction. So we're joining the modern customer service age, and so we look forward to, it's actually rolled out a couple of weeks ago, and yesterday at the media communications meeting, we had a couple of board members who had made requests during the last few weeks who actually received this service and were quite complimentary. And Chuck, thank you for doing that.
And how are they getting notified?
Phone, text, email,
Which one? All of them?
all.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
And then we're also doing a similar thing for lease expiration. So when a lease is about ready to expire, I think 30 days in advance, then both the lessee and the lessor receive a notification, and then the lessor actually receives the document that's required to be filled out to extend the lease. So we're extending that to other services as well, like caregivers and.
Is caregivers
Caregivers is
definitely-
our next on our list. That'll be, and pretty much everything we do will be subject to such notification if it's required. So just moving to the modern age. And I think when you pair that with our mobile service order entry system that we're piloting right now and really rolling out in a number of work centers, then it's really going to be an automated, paperless sort of system that we have in place, which is much more easy to monitor completions and performance in a real-time way instead of tracking a piece of paper that doesn't really record well in real time. So we're really looking forward to that.
I know that you're not going to go so far as to say, dear resident, your assessment is due, because that would be over the top. But will you ever get that to the point where if somebody owes money, they'll be getting, instead of billing, like all of the time we spend on billing?
Yes.
But if somebody owes, I'm not talking about assessments, but for a chargeable service or for a fine, that's on the list too?
That's absolutely something we can do. And
Well, I didn't say we can do. I know you can do, Chuck could do almost
It's just a matter-
anything. I didn't change that, but is that something
And
you're planning
we'll
on?
probably include assessments in there as well, just to let people know, hey, you're 10 days late on this. If you don't pay in the next however many days, you're going to be subject to a late fee. That'd be an easy communication to give to someone. A lot of times, people become ill or they're traveling or something, and they forget. To have a text or an email come in to remind you would be very, I think, helpful.
But,
Yeah,
but that's on a list, but it isn't like tomorrow.
it's not tomorrow, but it could
Okay.
be done pretty quickly. It seems
All
like
right.
we've figured out how to do this very quickly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Our broadband services continues our analog deletion, or what is affectionately called the Bandwidth Improvement Program. And really, we've had very little feedback from our residents, so I suspect everybody's going out and getting a nice digital TV. We haven't received reports of analog TVs strewn about the community. So I suspect they're calling and having us pick them up from their manor, so that's good. So that's rolled out quite well, and I want to thank our residents for cooperating with that program. We're all going to see a huge, huge benefit from that in terms of much higher bandwidth and more capacity generally within our broadband system. I think I shared with board members, and many community members have figured this out, but we added a new music service provider, Stingray. And so you can hit that on channels 50.1 through 50.50, or depending on the system you have, channel 900 through 950. But it's an awesome new music service that is on your TV. But it also, if you're so inclined, has a mobile application as well. And so you can download that onto your phone, and anywhere you are, you can get 50 channels of free music. Free. And so people love free. Anyway, so if you're wasting money on Pandora or Sirius XM, just scrap that. If you like to listen to music, we're not offering, Fox and CNN and all that. I think it's just music. But if you're subscribing to Pandora or something like that, no need. We give it to you free through your village cable service. So anyway, very exciting upgrades there. And then you may notice, I should say you may have noticed, or you may notice in the next week or so, maybe a slight interruption in your internet service. It would be ever so slight and last for really just momentarily. And what you're seeing here is we're upgrading all our nodes and actually adding 16 nodes to our internet service. And so what you're going to see there is a doubling of capacity, just really within a few days. We're almost done. in our internet service. So when you talk about what we've done with analog and now what we're doing with this node replacement and expansion, it's really like a 4 or 5-fold improvement in bandwidth. And so with respect to this particular improvement, and if any of you have ever purchased the upgraded service, like say 50 megabytes, and then you actually test it online, like at 6 o'clock at night, you go, wow, that's only, it says 20 here, I'm paying for 50. Well, that's because everybody and their brothers watching Netflix and TV and downloading stuff all at the same time. Those are the high usage times. And so you get a degradation there. And so what this will do will keep you at if you bought 50, you're going to have 50 almost all the time. And so if everybody's online doing a very intensive downloading at the same time, will maintain your service level. So big improvement. Again, you know, when Chuck and I arrived here, we inherited a system that was designed for 1,000 customers. The only problem is we had 10,000 customers. And so that's why we had this slow, sloggy system, and we've been upgrading it constantly. And so now we've got a system that's ready for, you know, 15,000 users, and for them all to be power users. And we hope you all will become power users, because the more we communicate electronically, the more it's going to save time and money and keep your assessments down. It's very important.
Right. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Yeah, two quick ones. Can you tell us the...
Is your mic on?
Yeah. Yes. Can you tell us the name of the app, if possible, for the free music, and the date when this is going to happen?
Well, I think it's already happened, but maybe Chuck, you can give us the, and I think, did you do an instructional video yet on how to download
No, I haven't,
this?
but if you go to stingray.com
Oh.
and look at their website, you'll see there's an app download available for both Android as well as the Apple products. iOS.
Got it. And the upcoming day when you are going to do your change up, the nodes update? Or
That's happening right now. They're about 2/3 done. They'll be finishing up, adding 60, where right now we have 16 channels that we're working on. We're moving it to 32 channels of communication out there on those nodes. They're about 2/3 done. So hopefully by the end of the month, all of those nodes will be.
I'm just asking for the date so I can stay out of the house and not use the internet that day.
Or even if there was a service interruption,
It'd be very slight, very slight.
Very 5 minutes.
You may not even notice it.
All right, thank you.
Point of clarification, it was, we're moving from an 8-channel system to a 16-channel system out there for those nodes.
Awesome.
I don't know, maybe another board member was going to cover the election issues, or should I hit that?
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I mean,
I
obviously,
thought perhaps Siobhan would.
we have an election coming up, and the nomination period is open, and applications can be picked up in the general manager's office. That's the second floor of the community center, and are due back August 15th by 5 p.m. If you need assistance with filling out an application or want more information about being a board member and what it entails, and time commitments and skills and abilities and all those sorts of things, you can contact the corporate secretaries on the second floor, either Whitney or Cheryl, and likely we would put you in contact with a board member who might want to share their experience serving on the board with you. And so we want to make sure that we have a lot of candidates, that the candidates are well informed as to what the duties are, and can have some discussions with serving board members to better understand the implications of their service and candidacy. We're going to help candidates, all candidates, equally in terms of getting their message out. And, you know, obviously, the village controls a lot of the communication media here, internet service, cable TV, and all that. So we have a lot of ways to share with residents every candidate's position on various issues. And so we'll be, I think on August 24th, we're going to do some filming of all the candidates so we can air their thoughts on the village and their candidacy on village television. And then, as I think they always do, Third Mutual will host to meet the candidates. And then ballots and will be counted and winners announced on September 28th with the new board members seated on October 24th. So I think it's, in the last couple of elections, we have not had as much interest in board service as I think we would like. And in fact, the last year, we had 2 elections, both United and Third, where we had exactly the same number of candidates as openings, which obviously doesn't make for a very competitive election. And so, on behalf of the Third Board, I'd just like to encourage residents who are interested in such activities to please contact us, and we'll provide all the information that you need. And it is, and I'm sure board members can comment on their own, but it's challenging and rewarding, and you do really get to help a lot of people. You get to establish a vision for the future of the community. There's so many wonderful things that come about this type of service that I couldn't recommend it enough to residents. So that's all I'll say about that. I know you may want to say more.
Okay, go ahead.
There were a few things, because we met about this. We actually had, we met with Bert and I and United, and we met with Eileen. And the thing is we tried to talk about why are some of the reasons why people might not want to serve on the board, except for the fact that they're retired and they just don't want to do anything but be retired. But the basic thing is we said there were a few concerns people had. In the past, it used to cost us money to serve on the board. We used to have to contribute at least $500 when we first ran in order to print brochures and all this other stuff. When I think that I have spent $1,500 in the past years to run on the board, well, but so we're not doing that anymore. We're trying to get away from that. We're working with staff to use our various media, whether it's the television or e-blast, so people don't have to be spending money, so we can get our message out there. I think that's important. The other thing is that people talk about, oh, it takes too much time. And we really are working hard to cut back on the number of meetings. And if we could cut the board meeting down to a half a day, that would be something. But we really are working very diligently on that. We have possibly 1 or 2 weeks in the month where we might just have one meeting, and not everybody has to attend every meeting. We really try to be very careful with that. So it isn't as much time as people talk about. It doesn't cost money, and wouldn't cost you money. And the thing is that we are totally there to work with people who want to run. So now if you come up and pull an application, we're taking down your name and your phone number, because if you don't bring it back, we're going to call you and say, where are you?
Give them a robocall.
Do you need, because the thing is maybe after somebody picks up the package, it's, like, oh God, I don't want to write 500 words about myself. Well, we have people who are willing to help you write up your thing. We've done it, so, and it seems very crazy at first, but we are willing to help you. And the other thing is for people, there are some people who were so afraid of Meet the Candidates. I won't mention them, but I'm looking at one. But they, the thing is we would be very happy, because we've had coaching sessions where we've had the people who are running and saying, these are the kind of questions we think they might ask, or because we can't tell you the questions, and let's review it. So we have coaching sessions, we do a lot of things, and of course now we have wonderful Eileen to add to our help sessions, help groups. So, and the best thing I think about being on the board is you form relationships with people who you might never have gotten to know. And they are just incredible relationships that you hope will last after your time on the board is up. So I think it's really very valuable. And you learn so much new stuff. Like, I didn't know about compliance and so much about this type of law. So it's really good. Yes, James?
Well, I have a couple questions for Brad. First one is relate to this board who wants to run. Now, everyone, just about everyone is retired here. So everyone's probably accumulated tons of experience, working experience. So can the VMS helping us to find out what background specialty of all those residents? If we say grouping, have all those information, for example, my background is geophysics, geologist. I like to talk to all the geologists, geophysicists within our community, and then we can, within our expertise area, then we can talk about, for example, I'm a geophysicist, so as far as earthquake is concerned, I would say, hey, we don't have a major fault here. So that's why the reason that I moved here, we're not gonna have a magnitude 7, 8 earthquake. Well, and the similar thing, those engineers, they grouping together, they can get together and they say, oh, this is a leaking problem, I have background, I can help to solve. So in other words, I assume everyone, just about everyone, willing to share your experience, your expertise. That's one way to draw people out who want to be there. But we don't have that information. So maybe VMS can help us find out that information. For example, at least you can start by new residents, please fill up your expertise or specialty, a field of specialty. Gradually we accumulate that information.
Well, we can always certainly reach out too if there's an area of need. I know when I've reached out before, I've been a little bit overwhelmed by the kind of response you get. For example, we were looking for some folks who could help us with the Mandarin interpretation. And wow. So I sent out a little e-blast. Hey, anybody out there help out a little bit with this? And so we got a lot of big response from a lot of people. And so I think you're right. Just about any specialty you could lay out there, you're going to find a number of experts in the field. We know, for example, there are multiple HOA attorneys who've retired here. So we've got that expertise
Or
here.
at least their sons are.
And so there's just a lot of different specialties here that you wouldn't suspect, and subspecialties as well.
Well,
I think, if I remember correctly, we asked all the new residents to fill out a sheet listing what their qualifications are, their background. Is that being kept in force? And do we have it online or a way we can retrieve that information?
Yeah, I just don't know the answer to that.
Well, as the chair of our communication committee, no, we can get with Eileen and we could review that. And if there's
I'll
any
find out
way
the
to-
answer.
Yeah, we could improve, if there's a way to improve that, we will, because we have orientation every month. Great.
well, I have still my second question. When Marcia talked about handyman services, I wonder, well, first is what's the difference between handyman services and regular VMS repair services? Are there differences or they're the same thing?
Well, I mean, co-ops are a little bit different anyway because United Mutual has some responsibility for interior fixtures and appliances and finishes, which you don't have. And so those are excluded. The handyman services tend to be those that aren't covered by the mutual. For example, putting a leaf in a table for guests, unfolding a fold-out couch, fixing an alteration, those sorts of things that wouldn't be covered. Carrying a suitcase out to the car. Could be anything that a resident can do on their own. Again, there's a broad list, but it's very extensive. We do have about 113 contracts right now, just so you know.
But, so how do we request that? We still call the resident services, says, I want a handyman service?
No, we don't have handyman service. We wanted to make sure that the handyman service works. And United's needs were very different than ours. Actually, their needs were a little simpler. So we wanted them, they were doing the test. In the meanwhile, we have met with Ernesto, but we've also met as a group, and we've come up with a new and updated chargeable service list, and Roy finished it up, and it's going back to Ernesto. And then we would go meet with Chris on this to make sure that what we had is so that people could once again get chargeable services.
Yes.
So we wanted to be sure that they're priced correctly, that people feel secure. We were sort of tossing back and forth because I said we wanted to put something in there, but we said it sounded tacky. But we were going to call that Muscle Man Services. Because we said if you needed a box moved or a mattress turned, and what could we call it? So I think we left that up to Roy because I thought it was a cute name, but they thought we were sounding like a circus. But there is a need for that. And we have to have things, there's simple needs that people want covered. So that's in the stage to go up to Ernesto, and then, of course, we'll meet with Chris, and then we want to roll this out, because people don't know what to do if I need this done. So we didn't want it to be really hard stuff. We wanted to sort of start simple, but things that people are asking for the most, and then we might not be doing it, but then they know how much it costs, et cetera. So that's this close to being finished. Yes, John?
This question hadn't occurred to me until now.
Is this for Brad? Because this is
Well,
Brad's
yes, it
turn.
is, but
Okay.
it's probably for both of you. But are the members of the Third Mutual totally precluded from calling on one of these handymans? They must use the chargeable service system?
Right now, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we have not defined what, if in Third, which is so different from United, what the right amount should be to charge, how often the people should come, what should be included. So we figured we would go this, we're not against it, but we have to be careful that we don't put in something that is going to explode because it wasn't well thought out and well organized. And that's what we're really, our general manager, our CEO actually told us that we should be more practical about it. And I'm used to doing a dry run anyway, so we figured we'd let United do the dry run and see how it goes.
Well, I think the President's correct that because we cover so many interior things anyway, that the United rollout was much easier. And we just, if something's broken in the interior, it's either us or it's the handyman. It's going to be taken care of. Your situation's a tad more complex because you don't have interior responsibilities like that. So I think it needs a little more thought, and I think we'll get there. I just have a couple of more things. I have actually a lot more, but I think I'm going to skip some of them. But I did want you to know the Gate 11 is completed. They'll be taking away the temporary gatehouse today or tomorrow.
The gatehouse.
Gatehouse, yes. And so we're moving on to 12 now, which is Village Greens and Lawn Bowling and Clubhouse 2 gate, and then over to 4 after that. So we're mostly done within Third. And then Ernesto and I chatted this morning. He's just about ready in the next month or so to start putting the arms in. And so we'll probably do 2 of these at a time. So I guess we need to do 2 a month for 4 months. That's what we need to do. And so there'll be some logistics there. Likely we would keep gates open, but I know when we did 5 and 6, at times we would close the entirety of one and direct all the traffic through the other. That could be a possibility as well at times, as we're doing trenching and other things to get all this conduit in place. So that will be rolled out. We'll have a communication plan for the community. We obviously aren't going to do, 7 and 8 at the same time, or 9 and 7 at the same time. We're going to spread these out, and likely hopefully one in United and one in Third simultaneously, so we keep as many gates open as possible and as many lanes open at each gate as possible to keep traffic moving. But it's very exciting, and it's going to happen really, really quick.
On that subject, there will be, you probably need to do a RFID full court press again after the arms go in, because there'll be a lot of people that just find themselves out in left field.
Yes, we have more of those to give out, which is interesting because golf cart registration, the deadline was July 1st, and we still have about 300 unregistered golf carts. So
Did you notify them by phone, by email, and?
I don't know if we're quite ready for truck. Chuck Wife done that. But yeah, we have a list of all those folks, so it's just a matter of a little bit of code, and we're there. But those 300 folks need to bring their carts in so we can get them registered. And you don't want to, get caught out in the community with improper registration and have it become a compliance issue when we're giving these decals away. There's no cost to this service. So please come in and take care of that. I do have to share that we are putting in new gates at the service center. We have had a lot of problems there. A lot of illegal dumping, a lot of residents and grandchildren crawling on heavy equipment. We've had things missing, and so it's never been secured up there. It's always been open 24/7, 365. And so now we're putting gates up there. The first one is going at El Toro and the Equestrian Center entrance. And so that, I think there'll be a closure there probably tomorrow and Friday as they finish some of the trenching and get some of that conduit in place to secure that piece. And then later this year, likely, we will get to the main entrance, which is over by Broadband there, and then also put the gate in at RV lot. I think is that A or B? That must be B. B. And so then that will happen. So we're kind of securing that whole area up there. We will allow golf cart access through there, though I think ultimately we need to stop that, mixing that golf cart traffic with heavy equipment, trash trucks and street sweepers and buses, and having golf carts roll right through that. It's not the best mixing of different vehicle types. And so we're exploring options because there is a pretty popular amount of golf carts that go through there to get to either the garden centers or get, say, from Third to Aldi's. And there's other ways to do it, but it's more complicated.
There used to be a centralized area where you could bring your trash or your recycles somewhere up there. Does that still exist? Because I've gotten inquiries from residents,
Yeah, about the only thing, because, well, people go to security occasionally. That happens, but they're going to be coming over here. And then the last thing we do is really, we sell parts from the warehouse occasionally to residents, but that's a service that we're going to modify. It's dwindled down to a very slight amount, but I think a more appropriate way to handle that is to have them order it through resident services, then we'll just have it delivered to their manor, rather than having them drive up into the warehouse and do all that. So we're looking at combining all that.
But if a resident has a lot of trash for some reason, or a lot of recycled material, that would, say if he has individual collection.
They can call resident services and we'll come pick it up.
They will pick it up?
Mm-hmm. Sure
Okay.
will.
What if somebody, because people ask, what if somebody has paint cans and stuff, what do they do? Because you can't put it in the trash.
There is a service for that.
Yeah, the city has a service for that, and they actually pick that up too.
So you call
Yes,
resident services?
you can call
for that?
resident services. Now, I don't know if they schedule that directly, or if they, I don't see Chris out there, or if they
I can help you
schedule
with-
through the city.
I can help you with that because I've done it.
Yeah.
You call the special number which is given to the new resident when they move in. It's a recycle part of the service, and they pick up all the hazardous waste material, which includes paint.
waste
I
management.
think that.
Yeah, it's a
that-
household
no,
hazardous waste.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that might be a good thing to remind people about, because I do occasionally see like a paint can or two put in front of the dumpster. I don't think that people remember how to do it. And so I think it would be a good thing for Eileen to put in some.
I've got a
some-
note here to put that in the blast for
Yeah, I
this
think
week.
it
If
would
you're-
just be a good thing to have, because people forget, or they might have learned a long time or whatever.
Sure.
Yes, Jules?
I don't know whether we do it here and the environmental regulations may preclude it, but I know back in New Jersey, you could actually put paint cans in garbage if you could put in a material that hardens it.
No, you can't do that.
No.
It's
Thank you.
mainly because of our landfill regulations. They just don't want that in the waste stream.
Right.
And so the city has the obligation to extract those, and they perform that duty through their franchise agreement with Waste Management, who then will come to your manor and pick those things up.
Well, because one time I thought the city said you should bring your stuff there, and I'm thinking, now wouldn't that be a riot, 9 million cans of paint from
Well,
City
mo-
Hall? So I think it would just be, not sure as to what to do with these things, and then do a little, that might be a
Most
good
cities
idea.
do have a drop-off center, and I know Siobhan's ran them before, I've run them before, but they don't have that here. We do a pickup service,
Okay.
which is a
And I
great
think
thing to
I
have.
think that's terrific.
Yeah, it is
because
terrific.
Years ago, you literally had to.
Load it up and-
Cities would have the weekends when you could only bring it to a particular place.
Yes.
And you would have a line a half a mile long.
Well, and most people, rather than do that, just throw it in the garbage can anyway.
Correct.
Yeah. Let's see here. I did want to just really a couple more things. Is, we're going to, assuming that the contract is approved, I did want residents to know that rather quickly, you'll see a lot of slope work over in Third, and I suspect maybe James or somebody will talk about that.
Yes.
But that's going to be a big initiative.
Yes.
And we're going to do a lot of communication to residents about that. Same thing with Ridge Route, which I'm sure somebody will talk about, and the vegetation clearance there. And again, big communication program associated with that as well for those residents that are adjacent to that clearing and construction area. So major initiatives, very important. I was going to hit some of our progress on your major programs, but I suspect some of your committee chairs will hit that, but I'm just looking at the performance here, and it looks like all of the programs, whether it be waistline or paint or prior to paint, dry rot, are well along the way and appropriately expended for the time of year we're in. So with that, I would answer any other questions you might have.
At this point, I would like to say a special thank you to Siobhan. Anything we ask Siobhan for gets done. And she doesn't forget about it. She has an incredible memory, and she's been a great addition to your team. So I want to publicly thank you. And yes, Steve, did you want to thank her too? No.
Well, I want to thank Brad and his staff. They really went to bat this year on the budget, and heretofore, the different HOAs had to really put their heads together and gnashing of teeth and hitting each other to come up with something. Brad and his staff already had it. It made it go real smooth. So now we're just refining, and it's a wonderful process to be part of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is that it? All right, so now we can move along. Thank you very much, Brad.
Thank you.
But remember, you have to stay in case somebody forgets something. Okay, we're going to try it our way. So now we need a motion to approve the consent calendar. And we have made some slight modifications. They were typographical, so to speak, just refinements, with the exception of moving the GRF and committee report off of there. So do I have a motion?
Move to approve as amended.
Second, okay. So now we are going to vote using our equipment. Oh. Brad, could you show?
Good question.
She's got a motion and second in there.
Okay. Okay.
Do we have any discussion? Oh, it's coming.
Oh,
I can't-
is there
it's on
any
here.
discussion?
Yes or no?
Well, we already moved things on it. You still want to discuss?
No?
All right. Just a point of clarification. Is there any discussion? No. Okay, voting is in progress.
Yes, no, or abstain. You can abstain, or you voted yes.
Works.
Okay, so The motion has passed. Everyone has agreed. Okay, so now we're going to move along to, so the motion has passed with 9 yeses, 0 nos, and 0 abstains. So the next item that we will touch on is the, we will do the third mutual committee and GRF committee assignments page. So do we have a motion?
What happened to the 12? It's 13.
No, I added that, I put that in as unfinished business, so I sort of just added that in. I didn't know where to put it. Where should it go? It's an item for discussion. We don't have an area called item for discussion.
Go under director comments.
No.
No. It would be, so should we add it under unfinished business?
let's
All
do
right,
that.
so we'll make it D. All right, so we'll do it then, all right? Okay? We'll do it as D. We're going to do the assignments as D. Okay. So the first item on unfinished business is temporary containers. I am now going to turn it over to Bert Baum.
Thank you. Here again, this is in the 30-day period. We've already made a motion and discussed this. I think the only point that has come up was to clarify what the size of these containers are. These are smaller containers, and these are essentially dumpsters, contractor trailers, and portable storage containers known as pods. So what we've done here is set up a procedure. If people need to use these, security gets involved and we inform them, or the owner or contractor informs them they will have security, that they want these. Security will tell them where they can place it, how they need to identify it, how long they can have it, and that's all outlined in the policy attached to the resolution. And in the policy, the actual size of these containers, the dumpsters are limited now to 3-yard size. That's 6 feet by 4 feet by 4 feet. And pods may be limited to 8 feet in length. So those were the only questions that were raised. Again, I moved this question, so I move it again.
Do I have a second? Second. Is there any discussion? I just have a question, and it's so fabulous that Kurt is here. But if someone was to see one of these dumpsters and it looks like it's being mismanaged, i.e., they're dropping debris around it, or it's not being covered, all of the things that are outlined, what would a resident do? Okay, so if you were to see, the reason why we're doing this is that in so doing this, we're trying to get away from, sometimes contractors would have these big things on the back of their trucks or whatever, and they'd be uncovered and they'd be filling up 2 parking spaces or whatever. So these are small and contained, but some of the issues we've had so far, which Kurt has corrected, are that they're uncovered or their wheels aren't chalked, something. And so I could roll them around, and that they don't have cones or lights, so that you would have to be sure that you wouldn't see them, you would see them at night. So these were all things that we tried to address in this policy, which is to try to make things better for you, the residents. So the other day I saw like a U-Haul pod. I hadn't seen one of those before, and it was like a little U-Haul storage unit that was just sitting there. So every day they come up with new ones. So we have a motion to pass. We have a second. We've discussed this and discussed this. This is a great move, so all those in favor. We're going to vote on the screen. What? Do you still have comments? Do we have to vote on this? Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yes, no, abstain.
Okay, the motion for the temporary containers, or whatever we're calling them, the temporary container policy has passed with a vote of 9 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain. All right, so the next item is 12B.
Okay. 12B is the resale it's a correction to the resale policy. And the main part about this revision is that now, when an owner wants to sell his manor and is in the process of selling it, there's no longer a security deposit required of them when they're, after inspection, if there are certain alterations that need to be made. The point of this policy now is that rather than have the security policy, it's clarified that the seller will be held responsible for any corrections and deficiencies, and this should be done before escrow is completed. Before it could be go beyond escrow, this owner had to have a security deposit. It created a lot of staff problems and problems in getting the money back. So this is a much more efficient process, and that's what the main focus on revising this resale policy.
So, okay.
This has been, I moved this before, I move again.
Second?
A second?
Kush seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Well, we got to vote.
Okay, I'm sorry. Just can't teach an old dog new tricks. Okay, nine yeses, the motion passes. Okay, next item is C.
Okay, moving right along here, we're up to C, which is unauthorized, I want to make sure I have this right, unauthorized alteration fee. And again, this is in the 30-day waiting period, so we've already introduced this at our last meeting. And what this is now, we're tightening on the abuses where people make alterations and they don't go through the whole permit process or consent process involving our alteration architectural department or alteration division. So what happens now is that when unauthorized work is discovered, an alteration inspector visits the site, issues a stop work order. So all work should stop at that point, and enters a ticket into the system. And then, and this is a change that we've asked for, then the alterations department inspector returns to the manor within 3 days to make sure the work is stopped. And what we've also now is added is a special fee of $300 because this is a violation for those people who have done this. This is in addition to requiring them to go through the regular process where ultimately they need to get approval from the alteration division. So those fees will also be charged. So the focus on this is to have the unauthorized alteration fee of $300. That's the new part of this policy. So I so move.
Second. Kush? Any discussion? Okay, there are two very significant things. Number one, the $300 fee does not have anything to do with breaking the rules or a violation. It has to do with the fact that we now have had to go out, do a stop work. We have to take staff time out to go review everything, get the paperwork done, et cetera, and to issue a permit. In addition to that, the people will, whoever has broken our rules by doing construction without any permit will also be called into compliance. The improvement with this is that in the past, if somebody had issued a stop work, we didn't, because of our process, because of compliance, et cetera, we couldn't speed up the process. Okay, so you're doing your work without a permit, come in and get a permit. The fine thing is over there, that's still gonna happen, but we want you to now be permitted, we want you to do your work, we want you to get it done correctly. I would believe, and Kurt, am I correct? This was the whole goal of this. I think what happened in the past is sometimes either we lost the compliance part, or people would just go ahead and work right through the stop work and keep going and ignore us, so we're just trying to really take better control of this to make it better for all of the residents. So those were my little discussion points. All those in favor? Hey, look at you, just keep putting your hands up. I can't, it's habit. You're gonna have to sit on your hands. Okay, so one person hasn't voted. My name is it? Okay, so are you saying yes? Yeah. All right, could we add Steve's name?
So it's 9.
All right, now we have 9, all right. So the motion has passed. All right, so the next item on the list now is, because we moved it on, is the third mutual committee and GRF committee assignments. And I believe, so that is, well, it's going to be 11D that we have to move. And I believe that we need a motion to approve, and then there is one correction that I know of. So, Steve, do you want to move?
Sure.
Second.
Oh,
All right, second. Okay, discussion.
yeah. Under finance, we have a new advisor, Michael Cunningham, who was sitting in the audience a little while ago. Just want to be sure he's added on to the finance committee as a whole as an advisor.
Are there any other corrections, additions, omissions, deletions? No? Okay,
You want to add the energy?
well, energy is there, but
Okay.
we're going to add Bert Baum as an alternate for third. Okay, does that work?
Yeah, that's good.
Because, all right, so those two corrections were made, so
We need a motion to.
we have a
approve.
motion, then we discussed. So now we need a motion to have approved the amended thing, all right, so.
Yes. I so move.
Okay, so now, any more discussion? No? All right. All right, so we could vote. Somebody's,
Steve, you're not registering.
Same problem.
I need to have my screen reset.
okay.
It's just moving slowly.
All right, so we are finished with that one. So now, according to the agenda, we would move over to new
What about
business.
the GRF? Is there
Oh,
any
there are
change?
no changes.
Okay.
So now we're going to move over to 13, new business. And Bert, I'm going to turn this over to you.
Okay.
Again and again.
13A, this is a new resolution, and this is a motion for a resolution for revised alteration standard 31 washer dryer installations. As you know, our alteration division has been going through all our standards and revising them as necessary. So we've had a series of these that we've covered over the last few meetings. And this one involves washer and dryer installation. And the main thing is that it sets the size of the cabinet, and this is for external where you are installing a washer dryer outside of your manor. This is for the outside. And what this does is it specifies what the cabinet, exterior cabinet that these installation is in, what that has to look like. So if you have your agenda package, that's item 13A, page 4 of 7. So the design is specified, and it also specifies some other things like what the size of the waistline, which is critical. But I think one of the most critical parts of this actually is the section 2.12, which says that washer and dryers in 3-story buildings, the installation is prohibited. I know many people have wanted to do this, and requests for washers and dryers in 3-story buildings will not be accepted. And the reason for this is really important. That is because we've had a lot of problems with leakage, water intrusion in 3-story buildings, and we're trying to cut down on that as much as possible. So that is one of the focuses of this revised resolution and standard. So this will be up for a 30-day period. I move the motion, and we can discuss it at this point and
Second.
vote on it. Yeah, okay. Okay, so it's been moved, and,
And I have a question.
okay, and you, Kush, has seconded, and now we can discuss
No, I
it.
seconded it.
I'm sorry, you seconded.
And I go first. 'cause I-
Okay,
Second.
Okay, go for it.
fight nicely, gentlemen, okay.
Never.
There she goes.
The most important thing, the reason that we have prohibited washers and dryers in 3-story buildings is the fact that the pipes are the wrong size to accommodate washer, wash. When washers flush, they put a bunch of water into those drain pipes at very high speed and high volume. And our pipes are not sized for that. And in order to change those pipes would require huge modifications to those 3-story buildings, which would cost huge amounts of dollars. So that's why we're prohibiting them, even though some people try to do it sort of on the sly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a good point. Kush?
Sir, item 2.6 doesn't read right to me. Could somebody help me out with that? A mutual consent will be, not be, so which one is it? Will be or not? Not. Yes, so we need to cancel the 1B article.
If you don't understand the word,
We have to correct that sentence a bit.
There's an
why?
extra B.
There's an extra.
B, not B.
Did you get it? 2.6.
Scribner's.
Yeah.
Well, the one that I'm looking at on page 6 of 7,
No, it's on page 4 of 7. Sorry.
4 of 7 is the
Six of
is
seven.
the
Page 1 of
revised
7.
one.
1 of
It
7.
shows the original one. This is the,
One of 7 says.
no, that's,
So,
Will be, not be.
Item 13A, page 4 of 7.
okay, good point.
Item
Yeah, we have to get rid of one of
Sure.
the Bs.
Yes, get rid of one of
But that's part of the discussion section. It's not, if you look at the actual, on standard on page 6 of 7.
All right,
it's
but it
pretty
was just something found, so.
Yeah, that's fine. So can we take care of that?
Looks fine to me on page 6 of 7.
All right, so let's move along.
Okay. So this is now in the 30-day, did you have a comment, Bonnie? I'm sorry.
Yes, in the past, we talked about, that when an owner that has been granted, grandfathered in for these washer and dryers, that when they sell their unit, that those washer and dryers will be taken out. So I'm wondering if something should be said in our resolution about whether these owners can actually keep these washer and dryers that have been grandfathered in.
I think there's a general statement that when you sell your manor, if you've made alterations that are not in standard, then it has to be brought up to standard. So that would include that. If you want to stress that, it can be added, but I think that is already covered, but Kurt isn't here, so.
Well, actually, I
We can
could-
ask him
Yeah,
that.
we could ask him, and because we have the 30 days to do
Right.
that. So, because in technicality, we could put that on page 5 of 7, when
Right.
it's 2.12.
Right.
Just to reiterate it, because I do know of people who, there was always some confusion on that, and some people are saying, well, it's there, and they shouldn't have ever been grandfathered, they were always supposed to be removed, and they should, and then some people said, well, I could have it on the first floor, and some people said no, so we just wanted to be very clear, so anything that gives that total clarity is a good thing, so Siobhan will make sure that they do that. Yes, Steve?
Yeah, one of our committee meetings, we discussed that, and we said that just because something was grandfathered would not continue past the current owner.
Right.
So like Bert was saying, when that goes to sale, it comes out.
Well, we have to make sure that we don't forget that it comes out.
Yeah,
you know,
this,
so-
this area has always been kind of hazy, so if we can clarify it.
And anyway,
Yeah,
okay.
we'll speak to Kurt and see if we
Yeah,
can
and
clean that
Siobhan
up.
is all over that. I see her
Okay,
writing.
good
her-
for you,
She's
Siobhan.
just writing and writing, so I know, we know it'll be done. We don't have to worry. Okay, so we don't make any motion or anything, we just
Yeah,
have
we
to-
made the motion, but we don't vote on it.
Right,
till the
okay.
next meeting.
So, next,
Okay, so that's been done. So now we're up to 13B. This is a payment plan agreement, okay? So, this is actually a revision, and what we're doing here is we're initiating a monthly charge for interest at the rate of 10% per annum and introducing an administrative fee of $25 per month. This is if you are delinquent on an assessment, you can sign
No.
an agreement
no, it
with the
doesn't co-
mutual.
It doesn't cover, well, yes, it covers, because it covers everything, right?
It says a delinquent assessment.
Yeah,
It
anytime that
includes-
you think one needs to be made, you have to go through this process.
Okay, so the actual payment plan agreement document is here. It's on 13B, page 3 of 5. All you document lovers can peruse it. And the important point is that we are charging this fee to help us with the administrative costs and also to encourage all delinquent members to pay up. Okay?
I have a question on this.
Yes.
This, when initiated in finance, was not only delinquent assessments, this was for anything. So if somebody, so it's a delinquent assessment and other charges, we need a different name. So then does that have to go on, if we correct it now, it could stay on the 30 days? Because if somebody,
I-
if somebody got a controllable service and they spent 17, whatever, money for their, what is the water, all right,
Water intruder?
water heater, okay, thank you. If somebody suddenly said, I can't pay for my water heater, because remember, we, at that point, don't accept credit cards, so they want to pay it over time, they would have a payment plan, they could have a payment plan. So it's for it's a payment plan agreement for assessments, for chargeable services. You could have a payment plan agreement for fines, couldn't you just have it for anything?
Well, Betty
Well,
and I
this-
talked about it. This is really just for assessments.
Assessments.
We're
The
going to
wage-
design another one for the
Another
other-
one.
all
Yeah.
else, because you have to go different directions.
You
with
do,
these. Yeah.
okay, all
So
right, then
this is
I
just
take,
for assessments.
I take that back. Will we have it next month?
We'll see.
So I move Has it been seconded?
I'll second it.
I have a question.
And there's no more discussion?
Well, he has a-
I have a, if we can just add the person's name, we have a manor number, we have a social security, we have his driver's license, but no name. It might be easier to check whose piece of paper this is if we have just the name on top, and it will be much faster for the staff.
So you're asking for an edit on the form?
Correct. At least just add a block where
Well,
it says
on the-
name,
On the bottom, you have the member's signature.
but no
But it
name again.
You could,
Well-
sometimes you can't read a person's signature.
Okay.
You will never see my signature.
We
I
can.
mean,
we
yeah,
can
you would
add
never
that.
understand it's mine.
So can we add name?
And also on the bottom,
Devon, are you going to look into that, please? Thank
if
you.
you're adding the name on the top, next to the signature, we should also have a spot to write the name.
Sure.
Print name.
Which is very standard.
Yes.
Yes, very standard.
Okay.
But it takes up another line, and if you see.
Are we
there-
paying by?
We can
Yeah,
squeeze
if
it
you
in.
see,
This-
they're
They
right.
they could eliminate some extra
Yeah.
space on there.
I'm just teasing you.
All right.
It's
Lots of
okay.
space on the top.
Okay, very
Okay,
good,
not
thank you.
not a big issue. It's a good point.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay,
So, and we've moved C
yes.
to close. So now we're going to do D, which is the Energy Task Force changes. And did anybody, okay, you go ahead, I'm sorry. It's for you to do, I'm just sorry. All right.
Oh, that's okay. So what's happened now is Third Mutual has had an energy committee, and Bill Walsh, who is not here today, is actually the chairman of that committee, and they've done yeoman work. But now, what we are proposing is that we have all three corporations, that means GRF, United, and Mutual, have one, and now we're calling it the Village Energy Task Force.
Village gets off.
I'm sorry?
The word village is removed.
Oh, I'm sorry, it says
It's the
here.
energy it has to be corrected.
Okay, thank
It's
you for
Energy
that
Task.
correction.
It's Energy Task Force / Third Mutual, United Mutual, and Golden Rain Foundation.
Okay, so the way this will be set up is there'll be two directors each from Third Mutual, United Mutual, and the Golden Rain Foundation, and the advisors, there will be member advisors as approved by the task force who will have the ability to vote. And their main mission is to identify and recommend to all boards investments in energy technology that will address the safety, economic, environmental, and aesthetic issues of the corporations, with the common goal to enhance the well-being of residents in the community. And there's a whole laundry list of things that they will do. That's, again, item 13D, and it's elucidated on page 2 of 2. The chair and vice chair of the task force, because this has been asked, will be elected by members of the task force. And one of the things that has also led to this development was that all three corporations have recently entered into an energy consultant contract with the Energy Coalition. So this is a group that will look at the whole energy needs of the entire community. So we will develop an overall energy strategy, which will be very useful because of the increasing costs of energy. So I guess what we need is approval of this charter.
So do
So
you
I
move?
move.
Second?
Second.
Okay, Steve. So the basic, any comments? All right, so the basic thing is we were advised that we should remove the word village because it's just the three mutuals. So on the top, it's just going to say Energy Task Force, again, Third Mutual, United Mutual, and GRF. And then as we go through it, whenever it says the Village Energy Task Force, we just scratch out the word village and just say the Energy Task Force. So I think that's in 2 or 3 places. And then on the bottom, and on the paragraph before number 1, it says with the common goal to enhance the well-being of our residents. We had to put our in there and not say Laguna Woods Village residents, because it's our residents. So do we vote on it now? Because
Yes, there's no
all right,
waiting
There's no
period.
waiting on this. So those were just Scribner's type of thing. We did not change the context nor the responsibilities right,
So we're moving the question.
right, we're voting now.
Yes.
2 people are. So one is.
Director Frankel?
Said yes. Says yes.
Okay.
You'll have to stand on it.
All right, so the motion has passed with 9 yeses. Okay. So the next item on our agenda is resolution to revise the financial guidelines for guarantors. Yes, Kurt?
Yes, ma'am. Okay. These financial guidelines essentially are the same, but the main change has been in the guidelines for the guarantors. And because the financial qualifications generally and the guarantor provisions are interdependent, so we've put all this into one document for ease of reference. So what are the changes in the guarantors? And that is on agenda 13E, page 6 of 12. If you look at item 4 on there, B, well, let's go to, I think the 13E, page 7 of 12, actually is clearer. And you look at item D, number 3, it says verification of net worth has to be, this is if you're a guarantor, equal to the sum of the purchase price of the unit plus $200,000 in acceptable assets. So a guarantor will be someone who steps in when a potential owner does not meet the qualifications that we've set up, financial qualifications. And the guarantor guarantees that he will provide the necessary sum of money to make this owner meet our qualifications. I think that essentially is the driver. And part 4 of this is the verification that the guarantor's annual income is greater than or equal to the sum of the total of the unit's annual mortgage payment plus $80,000 per year. And what we also ask is that this guarantor's primary residence is in California, in the United States. So what we have wanted to do in this is to tighten the qualifications for guarantors, because in the past we have run into problems with this, to make sure that the system is viable and that essentially the mutual and the residents are not left holding the bag. So these are the primary changes in this financial qualification, and I don't think there's any waiting period with this. So we can vote on this today. I move.
I second.
And now we're open to
Any
discussion.
discussion? All right, so the first two, Bert, anything to say?
I have nothing.
Kush, anything to say?
No,
Okay,
thank you.
Steve is next,
Okay.
and then Bunny.
One thing we got to make sure that people understand is on a guarantor, we have to have full disclosure of their financial status.
Right.
And we've run into this before where a person would live in a high dollar item, 80,000 wouldn't cut it just for them to live in that area. So how can they be a guarantor for somebody else here when they have to pay upwards maybe of $1,000 a month? So if we come back to you and request that, then we need full disclosure, so hopefully we'll get it up front.
Bunny?
Only one comment on this form, okay? And it's basically an editing. I just think number 2.
Is your mic on?
Michael,
No. On the form,
Yes.
okay. I think number 2 should be number 1. And the reason I'm saying that is because right off the bat, you're reading that this guarantor guarantees unconditionally to promptly pay for all HOA assessments. And then the second paragraph says unconditionally to be jointly and severally responsible. That's why I think that paragraph should become number 1, because this leaves the wrong impression. This first paragraph leaves the wrong impression. It says that the guarantor is unconditionally responsible. The next paragraph says jointly and severally. So if we change it around, I think it'll explain it a little bit better.
It looks stronger.
Yeah.
Okay, so Steve, do you have a challenge with that? Because we're not changing the words, we're just moving them around.
Yeah.
No, it's just that it's already been through legal.
Well, they won't mind it moving it
Probably
around.
not.
Yeah, we're not changing words.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Siobhan?
After consulting with the legal counsel last week, there is a 30-day wait period
30
on this
days,
resolution.
okay.
So we
There
will be-
is?
Yes.
All right, so we'll do
Usually
30
that's
days.
specified on here.
It's at the bottom of page 9 of 12.
Yeah, but it should be, usually we have it, that's fine, that's
Okay.
fine.
That's good, okay.
Okay.
So we can make these changes for the next meeting when we
Yeah.
vote on it.
Okay, I think the primary thing though go ahead, John.
Well, excuse my naivety, but I'm making this up. Mom and Dad are worth millions of dollars, but all of their assets are tied up, and it turns out that the income isn't $80,000. So they can't be a guarantor.
Well, the thing is then.
No,
they-
but it's specified how much their income has to.
Well, I'm saying they got their assets in treasuries, and
Yeah,
they're
but
worth
that-
millions of dollars,
but-
but they can't be a guarantor.
But the thing is that we did various things to work with residents to determine what their income is, how to determine their income. Because if you remember, when we first were reviewing the income, people were saying, well, how could we have income requirements? We don't have a job. Well, the thing is, but your income can come from your trust, from your annuities, from your IRAs. So there are lots of different ways to determine income, and we would use the same formula for this, our income formula. Liquid. So the primary reason for us doing this was really to protect the community, because we had people who were guarantors who don't even live in the United States. And then that wasn't good. Or in a different state, and their income wasn't even high enough to live in that state, never mind being a guarantor. So the situation is we were having a guarantor, but the guarantor wasn't able to guarantee, wasn't able to assist with the payments. So what we're trying to do is say to somebody, if you don't quite have the income, you could have a guarantor. They need to meet these requirements, and basically you will then be around so we could find you, and you will be responsible for the assessments, because the goal is to prevent the community from having to write off assessments. And we worked on this really diligently, and I think it's a great thing. Who is the one who will have this information, though? This has to go to the real estate community? Or I know it has to go to our department who works on resales, but we just have to make sure that once this is established, that people understand it. Okay, all right?
I just want to raise one other point. you can only be a guarantor for one property here.
Yes.
Because we have had problems in the past where owners and guarantors were switching. They were owner on one manner and a guarantor in another, whereas there was another owner who was a guarantor on the first manner. So there have been abuses, and we're trying to eliminate that.
Thank you. And yes, Kush?
You mentioned who needs to know. Definitely the real estate resale department. And then the resale department usually has a meeting with the realtors.
Well,
every
that's up to,
quar-
right.
Every quarter or every whatever.
Well, that's up to them. All we want,
But I would like to ensure that they get to know this, because the realtors, excuse me, the realtors make a promise to the buyer and then they are gone, and we are left with the trouble to take care of it.
and that's why we told Siobhan about it, because she has to make sure that it gets done,
Yes.
and she will.
I just
Yes.
noticed something else. Siobhan, is there a place on here for notary? Because our legal department said that it has to be notarized.
We can add that, Steve, for the
Okay.
next review.
Just one other point on that, and people need to understand this. Whenever somebody doesn't pay their assessments, guess what? Everybody else gets to make it up. So it's not fair to everybody else to have to pay your assessments if you can't pay it.
Right.
So we want to make sure that that's taken care of.
Yeah.
Okay, and again, we came up with this because there were times that we would read it, and I know that sometimes the people would put their combined income wasn't enough for them to live on, for example, in New York, and yet they were, and it's very difficult to go out of state, again, out of country, so we're just trying to tighten it up to take care of things. Okay, so that's very good, so that is definitely on 30 days, so we have that. And it says 30-day notification for August, so we're okay.
Okay.
All right, so now we're up to F.
Okay. This is a biggie. This is the,
What?
I have comments.
Okay.
I'm sure you've all read this. This is the proposed amendment to the Golden Rain Foundation Trust Agreement to extend the term. And for those of you who like to read trust agreements, it's in, I'm sure, it's probably online too. It's a 75-page document. It's item number 13F in your agenda, page 4 to 79. I'm not going to read that agreement.
Why?
Well, because my voice will give out, okay? But I've memorized it, so I would suggest that all our interested residents do likewise. But essentially, what the Golden Rain, what this trust agreement did is it established a Golden Rain Foundation of Laguna Woods as the trustee of the Golden Rain Foundation Trust, which was created by this 75-page agreement. So United, Laguna Woods Mutual, Third Laguna Hills Mutual would still go by that name, and Laguna Woods Mutual number 50 are the trustors and beneficiaries of the trust and the only current cooperatives as that term is defined by and provided in the trust agreement. And there's this, now what this means is that if this trust, or when this trust expires, we all get a portion of the common area that's here, okay? And it's not clear how that would be done. So we're not eager to terminate this trust at this point. And the problem was that it was, the original term was that it would terminate on March 2nd, 2024. And I can tell you, ever since I've been in this community, and it's almost 20 years, the discussion has always been, what are we going to do about the trust and how are we going to extend it? Well, I'm very happy to report that we've decided that we are going to extend it, and we're going to extend it for 20 years. So this agreement extends the trust to March 2nd, 2044.
Oh.
And what happens after that, we leave to the boards at that time,
Because
okay?
we'll be over 100.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Okay, so here's the question, sorry, so you're making a motion to do
well,
this?
I just want to point out that what the process entails is each of the individual mutuals have voted on, will get the opportunity to vote on extending this trust. United has already done that, GRF has done it, now it's our turn, and I think then it's going to go to Mutual 50 also. And then there will be a meeting of the corporation, and the corporation is composed of all the board members of all the mutuals. So we will meet together and then formally vote on extending this trust.
So today we're not formally voting?
Yes,
Well,
we are
no,
voting.
Today, we're voting,
Voting as a mutual, and then we will vote in the corporate.
members
meeting.
meeting on August 13th at 9:30 a.m. in the boardroom.
So make sure you're there.
So, wait, so you are making a motion now?
Yes, I move that we adopt this amendment.
And- Okay, so we have a second. So there are a few things, and Siobhan, you could probably help us with this. So number one, we could discuss it now. Well, and number two is one of the other things they did, which is part of the discussion, that supposedly, we had to find out, because per terms of the trust, 21 years after the death of the last person who signed the trust would trigger termination. And preliminary research, because our legal departments have researched it, indicates that one or more of the people are still alive. So that was part of it that we weren't sure of, like, are they still alive? People would always say, are they still alive? Are they still alive? So I know that we went through that. So it was recommended that we go ahead and do this, but again, it is up to us as a board to discuss it now and bring up any thoughts or concerns that you have, because then, of course, we will go to the corporate members meeting. So at this point, does anybody have anything they want to say? Oh, it must be Bunny. Is your mic on, Bunny?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Okay, I have no problem with the extension. What I have an issue with is the fact that we have an issue with GRF in regards to an amendment, V11, which talks about facilities and the 500,000. And wait, let me talk. I have got to talk because I have brought this up personally to each one of you, and I don't think that you've connected the dots, okay? And connecting the dots means, okay, so GRF is trying to amend the bylaws, but that doesn't mean anything because the trust rules. If you read this amendment in the trust, it's not completely clear, okay? Right now, it's simple. Simple if we go ahead and we vote for, because all four corporations will definitely vote for the extension. But what GRF won't vote for is anything that is not going to benefit them. Okay? We know that for a fact. So if we delay and decide to do this later, it'll never, in my opinion, I have to say, in my opinion, it will never get resolved. We'll have the still problem, the same problem as we have now, with them finding every legal means to not come to the mutuals when they spend over 500,000. And let me tell you, just because I want to do this very quickly, because I've got the trust, it was put in there, and all it means is just a few words of clarification. And the clarification has to come in the trust, not the bylaws. It has to come in the trust first. And if we don't insist on that, it won't get done. And again, I say that's my opinion. Maybe they will cooperate, but they haven't shown that they will cooperate with anything that has to do with the mutuals being involved over 500,000. So that's my story, that's my, and because of that, I would say I would not vote for that extension, only if it's contingent that we also amend 1VV. It's V11, I guess.
Thank you very much, Bunny, and I think, and I firmly believe that you bring up a very good point. And we can go back and say that, because the truth is that we sat at a meeting and we said we need clarification of what this facility or whatever means, and nobody has been able to come to an agreement on that.
Right.
And yet we were able to push this through. So I don't know, Brad is probably going to start biting his nails now, but the thing is, so you could recommend that Third is not going to support this until we get the other thing taken care of, resolved.
Right.
And that's okay. I think that you can do this. I don't know what would happen at the annual meeting, so. I understand that you want to speak next. So I think that that's an interesting point that you bring up, and I think that it's, and I'm glad that you turned out to be such a fighter. So that's
My
an
tiger
interesting
coming
point.
out.
So go ahead, Bert, and then maybe perhaps Brad is going to want to chime in, I'm sure. But go ahead, Bert.
I just, Bunny, would you specify specifically what part of the trust, or what paragraph you want, just to
Okay,
make
it's,
it clear?
Paragraph B of section V11. It's 71 of 79. And if you go to the bottom there and you look at 4, number 4, and really 4 does not really clarify, as to when the 500,000 applies to facilities and structures. It basically says the construction of additional facilities for purposes of the subparagraph M facility shall mean a single structure or addition to an existing structure. The intent of this in the very beginning was basically on all facilities, which meant building and recreational facilities. That's how I understood the intent, but I was just getting on the board at that point in time. And, but this just says addition to an existing structure, okay? So my thinking, we should add, what facilities means. And I would say facilities, because I think facilities by the trust, in the trust, actually means buildings and recreational facilities. So that needs to be clarified, and the other thing that needs to be clarified is if it's a repair or modification.
And at a corporate members meeting, we gave our legal departments, and I don't know how long ago that is, but it was months ago, the responsibility to have that clarification. And every time we asked, somebody said to me, "Oh, we're this close." Somebody else said to me, "We're not close at all." So I think that's a really wonderful, it's a great comment on your part, and it certainly has stirred the pot. So Brad, do you have anything to say that you could update us on?
I would completely
I'm sure-
disagree with pretty much everything Bunny said. First of all,
We don't asking you to disagree with what you said.
I have a right to my opinion as well,
No,
and I'd
but
like to share it with this board.
she's just saying that she doesn't think we should agree to this because they haven't gotten around to do the other one. That's what she's
Well, the other
basically
boards
saying.
have already approved it,
Yeah.
so you would be standing alone there.
Right.
Which is fine, you can do that if you choose. There are a number of things that need to be changed in the trust, many, that are probably much more important than actually the one you referenced. For example, the trust currently prohibits the use of any facilities, GRF facilities, by any lessee. It's
Yeah.
just prohibited. So that's a pretty important issue since we
Right.
do let them to use it. So, everybody has their own issue that's most important to them in the trust, including a number of United directors who have a series of issues that are more important to them than the one you referenced. If we go down this road, we will not get this amendment done. Because there are many controversial issues within the trust that need to be worked out that I believe will take years to work out.
Yeah, but
I really don't want to take years to work out this. Secondly, if I may, the corporate members can exert control over GRF through the bylaws alone. You don't even need to mess with the trust. You just amend the bylaws however you want them. You have that sole authority. Change their bylaws.
I differ with that because the trust
Okay, all
rules.
right, but the thing is that,
The trust is quite clear and it
all right, well, we're not going to.
references the bylaws.
Okay, excuse me. we're not-
Bylaws.
Brad, we're not asking, we're just we asked for your opinion.
Well, let me,
And-
further,
okay, all right.
if I may. GRF has spent considerable resources working on various resolutions and amendments that they've shipped to the council for corporate members on the very issue that you referenced, and they've received a lot of input. I don't think there's a lack of trying. There may be a lack of agreement
Right.
at this point, but the effort has been, I think, pretty strong on their behalf, but we just haven't got final agreement yet. I think there's a difference there between dragging your feet and just everybody not agreeing yet. And there are, by the way, 4 different legal counsels involved in this, which sometimes makes agreement a little more difficult.
Okay, so, yes, Jules?
I don't know very much about the trust, but I have suggested to 2 of the 4 lawyers that there really may be a way of changing the trust without having to go back to the membership. There's an oblique legal procedure or principle called the Cypre doctrine. I've discussed it with Jeff. He thinks it's interesting. I've discussed it with Sandra, and she thinks it's ridiculous. But in one way or another, there really are ways possibly of avoiding a very expensive very expensive attempt to change the trust, by an election of the membership, and we can discuss that.
Okay.
I do have to point
Okay,
out that
all
the
right.
efforts that GRF and the mutuals are underway now are not a trust amendment. There's no effort to amend the trust related to facilities. I just want to make that clear. None.
The only effort.
It's a resolution that they're
The
working on.
only effort is being made by the legal departments is to clarify the utilization of the
Yes.
$500,000.
By resolution,
By
not a trust amendment.
resolution. So the issues at hand are, Bunny is suggesting that we delay our approval of this because we're taking too long on the resolution. That's what you hear her say. We're not discussing the rest of the trust. We're not discussing all of the things that are wrong
Right.
with the trust, we find wrong with the trust or the bylaws. We're not going down that road. She's just going over this one point, which seems pretty odd to me that we haven't gotten agreement on that simple part of the resolution. But, okay, so we're clear on that. Yes, John?
The way it was explained to me at the last all boards meeting when we discussed this is the trust must be extended, but we'd like to fix it. There's lots of ways to fix it. There's lots of fixes to be made, but you must extend it first.
Okay, but the thing, Bunny is not talking about fixing the trust. She's talking about why, she's basically trying to tie the time that they're taking to extend to clarify the resolution to the extension of the trust. And that is her total opinion, and it's
Right.
totally justified. And, it's sort of like, well, why should I give you this if you haven't given me that kind of thing? And that makes sense. We're not talking about the entire trust now. We're
Right.
talking about a resolution, we're talking about time. Yes, Bert?
I agree with John. I think let's move on. Let's at least be certain that that trust will exist and then worry about what we need to do. And you want to use it as a lever to try to get them to move. I don't know if that's really going to work. I think we've been talking about extending the trust, as I said, at least for 20 years, maybe longer. Let's get this part done. And work on resolving other issues.
Well, maybe Bunny read that book. Let's make a deal. I'm not going there.
Well,
Moving along, okay.
We
All right,
have
so in
4
any case,
years.
yes, Roy, and at this point, we have to move it
Well,
along.
I was the one that seconded the motion, and I
Yes.
didn't get a chance to put my
Oh,
2 cents in.
We're sorry.
Because, I understand where Bunny's coming from, but I question the wisdom of using the extension issue as leverage for anything. I think that's not necessarily a win-win situation, and I support moving forward with the extension of this trust. I think it's critical. We can argue for years and years and years about how to modify it later. But right now, the most important thing is to extend it. Otherwise, we may find ourselves in a situation where if one of these folks dies, or both of them die, the trust is gone, and then where are we? So.
Okay, all right, so that's a good
That
point,
was
too.
my point.
Can I just make one more comment?
And then, all right, then all we're going to do is vote. You could all speak up at the corporate members meeting. Yes.
We have 4 years,
No, but what they, okay. All
and
right.
maybe 21 after the last one dies, so I don't know what the rush is.
Okay. Well, at least they changed it. Somebody had suggested 25 years, so we got it down to 20. So, all right, so we understand what we are now trying to come to agreement on. We are not talking about changing the trust. We do feel that they should be doing something, and we can bring it up at the corporate members meeting about what is happening with the clarification of the resolution. I ask Sandra that like constantly. But here, we're talking about the extending the trust. So we're going to take a vote, but remember, we get to vote again. This is either showing third support or non-support of this, but we still go to the corporate members meeting. So all those in favor of extending the trust?
You can let me know and I'll just mark it for you.
So the motion passes. We have 7 yeses and 2 nos. I tend to be on Bunny's wagon and say, if you want something, give me something back. But, that doesn't necessarily mean to say that that would work either. So it passes for third, and remember, we go to the corporate members meeting.
Can I
Okay?
make a statement? About this?
When, you
Can I
can.
make a
Certainly. All right, wait, let's see where we are on the, so we're finished with that. So now we're going to go to committee reports, but before we start the committee reports, Bert would like to speak.
I just wanted to clarify my status on this board, because a lot of people have been asking me. My term ends this year. This is my last term. I've decided I'm not going to run for the board this next election, but I'll be happy to act as an advisor if necessary and to help in the election. And I want to thank everybody for their support, and it's been a real pleasure working with you and with staff.
So you're not saying you're leaving because it's too much work or because you don't like us. It's really just because you want to spend some time with your life.
Absolutely. And I want to write the great American novel or a short story.
Okay, well, we're going to start crying soon because it's very difficult to not have Bert, but he has already agreed that he's going to be an advisor to our communication committee and our advisor to whoever the new secretary is. He could be advisor to the president. He could just be an advisor on everything. So that's good for us. Yeah, he'll be And
Whitney's having a panic attack right now, so forgive her.
And he could also be our mascot. I mean, we could have him do a lot of things. So do you want to go on VMS then?
Not at this point.
Oh. We'll always find something for you. Okay, so in any case, so now we're
Can
up
we
to
put some conditions on Bert. You know, if you are advisor, you are obligated to provide new candidate whenever we need it.
Well, we do have at least one candidate who's running, possibly two, so we need some more. All right, so, oh, you know, mean if he leaves, he has to put in two more candidates? All right, that's it. Okay, that's it. That's one way to do it. All right, so now we're going to have committee reports. So the first committee report is Finance. Steve.
Okay, first slide, please. We have the first slide somewhere? Oh, it's just not showing. Okay.
It doesn't show to us, is that?
No, it's not showing, it's not on this side.
Okay, here we go. Total revenue for Third Mutual through May 31st, 2018 was $14,170,000 compared to expenses of $11.8 million, resulting in more revenue than expenses by $2.2 million. Slide 2, please. Here are the same results with a distinction between operating and reserve funds. This chart shows how much of our revenue went into operations, with $7.8 million coming in from assessments and $577,000 coming from non-assessment revenue. This is compared to operating expenditures of $8.1 million. And after backing out depreciation, which is not funded through operations, the bottom line surplus is $308,000 as of this reporting period. Slide 3, please. This chart shows how much of our revenue went into reserve funds and the amount expended to date. Give you a second to look at that. Okay, slide 4, please. Through May 3rd was better than budgeted by $2.2 million, primarily due to outside service work on reserve programs. And I'll just hide them briefly here. Building structures timing. This starts in July. Disaster fund, less use of contingency was needed, so we booked more there. Exterior lighting timing, which will take place later this year. And the timing of paving. Concrete work, which is part of this, completed in June, and asphalt work is scheduled for August. Slide 5, please. On this pie chart, we see the operating expenses to date of $8.2 million by category, showing that our largest categories of expenses are for compensation and utilities. Slide 6, please. The reserves balance on May 31st, 2018 were about $30 million. To date, contributions to reserves, including assessments and interest earnings, total over $5.6 million, and expenditures to date total just over $3.6 million. So we're in pretty good shape at this point. Okay, you can take off the slides. I know some of folks travel, can't even talk right here. Some folks look at our delinquencies and unpaid assessments, which right now are totaling $318,000, but this still represents less than 1% of our annual budget. So we're making headway there. We've had extra hearings of people that owe money, and we're cleaning out backlog. Okay, moving on to the resales report. As our CEO reported last month, I want to reiterate again because it's still pertinent this month. While the number of sales have gone down, the average price has gone up. It's gone up significantly throughout all the mutuals. It's gone up from last year from $354.9 thousand per unit to $381,000. So that's very good news on that point. Dealing with Third Mutual, we experienced 36 sales in June. 49 were for last year, so it was down a little bit there, but I don't think that that's alarming at all, because when you plot this against other cities and municipalities around us, they're experiencing somewhat the same thing.
I have a question, Steve. I hear part of it is because we don't have a lot of units on the market.
That's part of it. Yeah, I'll be covering that here in just a
Okay.
sec here. Okay, the average resale price a year ago, let's see here, in 17 was $428.8 thousand. So far this year, it's averaging 466.4 thousand. So we're up over 6.7%. Okay, just to cover the point that Rosemary mentioned. Oh, one other thing before I get to that. Our leases are still in the 27th percentile. Just as according to the latest information on multi-lists, right now pending for condos, and these are things that are already in escrow, there are 46 condos. And those listed for sale for condos are 97. So what I'm told is anything between 75, 76, and 100 is pretty normal. And it has been for a few years. So it still shows that we don't have a whole lot on the market, but there are units out there that people can take their pick from and choose what they want.
So if you're saying we have 90 for sale and 40 something are in escrow, does that mean there are 40
46.
left to sale?
No. These are separate categories.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
have 46 or whatever in
46
escrow,
in
but
escrow.
there's still 90 left to sell.
Right.
Okay.
And if you've noticed up in our boardroom, we've been going through a lot recently. I expect that number on the market to come down significantly over this month and next month. People are out hunting for them.
Okay, is that it for the
That
financial report?
concludes my report for now.
Okay. So the next report is the report of the Architectural Controls and Standards Committee, and Director Walsh is not here. Steve, as the co-chair, were you going to report on that?
I can. We had some people that requested some modifications, and actually, we went through them with a fine-tooth comb, and actually, some of them got accepted. So we have 3 that were accepted out of 4 that were submitted, and some of these may have included renovations and also where you repurpose something, but they didn't go beyond the original footprint. So that was a win-win situation, I think, for everybody. We are reviewing now storage cabinets and expecting to get a report on that coming up at our next meeting. There are several things in that we have to take into consideration because we have so many different floor plans. And you may have cabinets up on a 3-story building out on a little veranda or a patio or something like that. In my case, you may have them underneath steps. So it's hard to get your arms around everything like this, and Kurt is working on that. And we expect to see a pretty voluminous report come out at our next ACSC meeting. So those are the high points that Bill and I have discussed. So I'll leave it with that.
Okay, so thank you very much, Steve. We're going to ask Bunny, who is first co-chair of M&C, to report on M&C.
I'm just going to hit some highlights. You know, we've signed a contract for the building address signs, and I think everybody will be delighted that we're going to get larger signs, you know, for the buildings. We're also going out to bid for the dry rot, and I think the audience is aware, you know, that that we had a consultant come in and evaluate our dry rot situation. And they basically surveyed 20 buildings, and they found little dry rot. That was so exciting to me, that they found little dry rot.
And the buildings were randomly selected?
Yes,
Like we
they were-
didn't pick, let's do these because we don't think they're going to have dry rot? No.
Well,
Okay.
it'll all depend, but in the first 20 buildings, we have asked staff now to go out and bid, have construction, for the construction of those 20 buildings, which will, I'm not quite sure whether we'll be able to complete that this year or, and I'm sorry, I'm getting dry throat here. So, anyway, the breezeway project is almost complete, and it should be complete by the end of July, although I'm not quite sure how soon afterwards the plants will be replaced. But I'm also anxious to see what that's going to look like, because in the second building, those people care very much about their plants and their furniture, whereas the first building that was complete, the residents there have landscaping very sparsely. And so a lot of people have been going out and looking at that building and looking at the landscaping there and saying, oh, I don't want that for the next building. So anyway, I'm anxious for it to be completed, and then when that is completed, then Ernesto said that he would give us a rundown of all the costs pertaining to that project so that we can evaluate our pilot, okay? So I understand we're reviewing the non-emergency chargeable maintenance service. And that's about all I can think of right at this point in time. We did walkway lighting. That was another contract that we just signed. Oh, I know what I want to bring up. I want to bring up the fact that we are soon going to do the fencing, that is.
Shepherd's Crook?
The Shepherd's Crook that is along Ridge Route. Anyway.
And also, because I just looked at some of the other notes, we're starting work on the trash chute repairs, and communication is going out to the residents. And we're also, again, the walkway lighting project is going to be hopefully completed by the end of October. And the building signage is going to be, we're not only doing signage on buildings, but we're doing directional signage. So as soon as Ernesto gets that a little bit more tied together, perhaps we could do some kind of, this is what's up in signage, little article for the newsletter. I think that might be good, but we have to make sure that all of the things are moving along. Because we have going to continue with signage. We did 2 test areas, building signage, and not, I'm going to be cute here and say one size does not fit all. So, what looks good on the 3-story buildings, and I don't believe isn't going to look good on everything. So we're working on that. Okay, so thank you very much, Bunny. Great job. John is going to report on parking, and he's going to tell us when the next meeting is.
I first want to elaborate on the dry rot, given the importance of that project, and embellish a little bit further what Bunny had to say. We looked at 720 buildings, and they were not selected random. They were picked to represent what we thought was the typical buildings, such that we could extrapolate further when the project was finished. We found that 4 of them didn't have any dry rot, but wait a minute. We know those buildings have dry rot, and we pointed out that there's some others that do have dry rot of those same types. So the conclusion was that we were not going to ask the consultant to do any kind of an extrapolation because of the randomness of what we found, and that we would use that 4.5-inch thick report, and staff would make the attempt to extrapolate. Ernesto, however, has further agreed that, yes, he will ask the consultant for a proposal to do the extrapolation, because it's very important. That's the whole purpose. This is a programmatic approach. The whole purpose of doing this is, 1, to fix the dry rot, but 2, get a handle on the dry rot in the third mutual village. So there will be, the consultant will attempt to extrapolate what the cost is for the total dry rot package, and then we can use that for budget purposes. Now, as far as parking is concerned, no, I haven't set a date yet. The issues on the table are, one is, gee whiz, how big does a cul-de-sac have to be before you tell the vendor to get the heck out of here and go park on the street, when some of these cul-de-sacs are huge in length? What are other possible parking improvements? We looked up at Gate 14, Rosemary has mentioned. There's a couple of spots up there. What other possible improvements can we make?
Okay, thank you very much, John. The next I was waiting because James is all excited, is to report on the Landscape Committee.
Well, thank you, President. Could I have the first slides, please? Actual second. Next one. Okay, for landscape, where this year, the first year we decided to do the slope renovation, that work has started and has been started. And in fact, we set the priorities. The first priority is gate 9, then gate 11, and gate 14. So far, the gate 9 area has been completed. We'll show a few slides in the next one. The main thing, as a staff reported that the gate 9 area, there's no soil problems. So they replanted new plants and maybe irrigation sprinklers, but no work need to be done for recondition the soil. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, I just flash it through, show you the picture, the work on the gate 9 area. This is first one, next one. It's a nice work. And I hope, I will trust the staff told me that there's no soil recondition problem. Therefore, once they start growing, those slopes should be looking pretty good. Next, two, yeah. All right, and that's it. And the next one. All right, so, but the next one after gate 9 will be gate 11 area, and then gate 14. Gate 14 may have some soil problem, so they may take a little longer to work out. Also, on the water efficient landscape project is still ongoing, and Director Drew's going to make some comments.
Just briefly, we've been keeping quite busy on our plan, our long-range plan to convert our landscape to a more California drought-resistant landscape. We've been visiting different communities to observe their landscape and checking with other city demonstration projects. Santa Monica, we're now looking at San Luis Obispo and Santa Barbara, where we've already started to collect some data on the costs of making these conversions, and we're trying to get a cost-benefit analysis put together. I have to say that Bruce Hartley is a real treasure. I think he was originally hired for purchasing, but he's a trained and a certified arborist. We recently took a visit to two communities on the other side of Irvine, and his knowledge of the dozens of different types of plants was just absolutely staggering. We're now talking about taking a specific area of our community and actually doing a demonstration project ourselves, just to therefore determine how much water we could save and how much money we could save. It was quite a tour. It's very exciting to see what's going on in this area.
Okay, thank you, Drews. Of course, talking about water, you will find out in our next year's the budget. We specifically put down the fund for the turf reduction, and starting next committee meeting, we're going to very, very actively work out the scheme and the directions of how we're going to reduce the turf. That will save us water. Now, the next important thing is after 1 year of this testing pilot soil sensor project. After a whole year, we're giving the contractor a whole year because we want to sample different seasons. After this almost 12 months, we look at the result. The testing result was not very satisfactory. Plus, the amount of water saving is limited, and we can have several other choices of to save those water. And plus, if we continue those projects, the staff have to spend a lot of time in monitoring, watching, so we just simply don't think it's worthwhile. So in this month, the committee already decided to terminate this. And I believe our director, John, want to have some words. You want to make a comments?
I have a question before you do that. Do we have to vote on that? Because it says here, and you could let us know, Brad, it says recommend to the board the termination of the contract. So does the board have to vote to terminate the contract?
I
'Cause
think
that's,
we're going to have to vote in the
Do we?
closed session.
it's in closed session?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Because
I must have been sleeping. Okay. All
Next
right.
after.
Thank you. All right.
Staff was universally opposed to extension of the contract, and I happen to personally agree with him because I felt that there was a built-in incentive, perhaps, for stretching the amount of savings such that the contractor could make more money. So I felt that if staff was against it, then let's not proceed.
Okay, go ahead, James.
Okay, thank you. Our next, Juice, you have more
I
comments?
just wanted to
Go ahead.
mention that, particularly because in view of the fact that we're looking to convert so much of our turf, the idea of going through UGMO absolutely binds us to essentially a condition that we simply don't want to be stuck with, which is so much turf.
Yeah, well, the key part is to me, we've given them several times. In fact, we reviewed a couple times. We said, hey, the result, they compare where there's a sensor area, the grass, versus our regular irrigation sprinkler grass. They just simply don't look good. We told them, I said, whatever you have to do, do it to improve. But after 2-3 times, they simply didn't improve. That's where the whole point. Why we do something is not improve the looking. So
But at least we tried, so that's a
we
good
tried,
thing.
yes.
One of the things that we're going to go over having to do with landscape, we're going to go over it in closed session, but it is because and Brad was going to talk about this, so maybe you want to come in here about us going and doing a major project to remove, I would call it debris, but it isn't necessarily that, fire causable. So go ahead, Brad. You could talk a minute. This has to do with landscape. It has to do with the
It's
slope.
called fire ladder.
Yeah.
So-
That's
so-
the fuel modification that we're talking about, I think, in closed session later, where you have a lot of old acacia, and it doesn't last forever. And as it gets older, a lot of it dies, it gets very woody and thick, and really presents a fire danger, and the fire authority has pointed that out to us, that you need to thin this, remove it, replace it. Folks are still using acacia, but they use the dwarf variety now,
Right.
which doesn't get very big. So whether we choose that or not, we'll have to make that decision down the road.
So what we're going to be doing, and we're going to be just voting on it and closed, is we're going to be going out and cleaning a lot of this off of the slopes and in areas where it needs to be cleaned.
Yes.
It does not mean that we're doing a major replanting. We're
Right.
just cleaning this up, which is also good for coyote control, because in some of these areas, so that's really very exciting, and I'm glad that.
Well, I think it's going to look better, too.
And it'll look better, but you pushed this through, that the reason why we had to push this through is because of real fire danger.
Right.
We couldn't say coyote danger.
The other thing they're doing at the same time is raising the canopy on all of the trees that are within the
Okay.
slopes and that are on the perimeter of the community as well.
All right.
So they'll be at least 12 feet high.
Yeah, on that regard, the staff already communicated with OCFA, and also the landscape community, we got the more money for those fireworks, so that work is gonna be starting in 30 days, well, less than 30 days, end of this month.
Yes.
Will you be, as with everything else you do, will there be some kind of schedule coming out? Like, as part of this project, we're doing this, or?
Yeah, there'll be a schedule, it's kind of a communication plan
Yeah,
that
just to
goes with that. So
I mean, because
residents-
it's, right.
You're talking about a lot of chipping for probably a long time, and it can be kind of noisy, and I think that goes for both this project and the Ridge Route project. There's a lot of material there.
Okay, so thank you. All right, so the next,
One last thing, next committee meeting is August the 2nd, 9 o'clock in
in the
here.
board. Thank you very much, James.
You're welcome.
So now we're going to have a report on the traffic hearings, and that's Director Zalin. He always
This
ha-
time, I didn't leave my notes home. I actually brought, my computer is in the shop. However, I do remember, we had 21 cases hearing, and there were 16 guilty verdicts, and there were 5 not guilty verdicts.
So you have a chance.
So, yeah. There is one thing that apparently is bothering a lot of people, members and staff, and that is that we have a rule that contractors cannot park their vehicles except when loading and unloading in cul-de-sacs. And we've had several hearings, several notices of violation. And one of the problems is that people come in and they constantly complain that they simply didn't know, they had no notice. And so it's been suggested that we simply put up a couple of signs in the cul-de-sacs, and that's what we're hoping to do.
Well, one would think that if they were doing approved construction, that they would get this notice. But I think that we could also possibly, I don't know exactly how, so it's not up to me to determine it, but when they come through the gate, I don't know if there's anything that we could do to have any notification there, but that's not up to me, that's up to security to
Well-
work on that. But, yes,
If I could just interject, I think that's a real problem, trying to have a universal law where you don't allow construction trucks to be parked in the cul-de-sacs. If you look at the LH21 buildings, and we've had letters from some of the residents, there's no easy way for a truck to find a street to park on generally. They're very far away. And if they trade parking spots with the residents, some of the residents are really incapacitated and they can't walk that far. So my suggestion would be, let's look at this policy again and try to make it more realistic.
well, and again, we all have different feelings, but in some areas, what would happen is sometimes it wouldn't be one truck that's coming. You have something going on, and there'll be 3 trucks, and they're taking up all of the visitor parking. So it's an attempt to improve it. And when I see that there are lots of trucks parked on the main street and that there is still a visitor space available, I become elated. I think wow, this is really great because the residents could actually park. So I think that it's got to be a work in progress. Yes,
There's
Steve.
also the problem, for example, we are putting in an air conditioning system. We've had people come in to evaluate our, our situation and give us a price, and they have no idea that there's this regulation. So I've had to basically go out and say, hey, you got to move your truck. But if I wasn't, up on that, I wouldn't even know, and I might very well have gotten a summons because of this guy coming in and.
I think that we will continue to probably see, I see dry down service trucks parked in visitor parking. There are lots of, but the biggest thing is the people who are doing the work in the units, and they're there for day after day after day after day, week after week, and they tie them all up. And that's, I think, who we're trying to work on. So again, it's a work in progress. It totally is. Yes, Roy.
One of the things that might help is to repaint the curb that says visitor parking, because in my cul-de-sac, there's no indication that those spaces that are not underneath the carport are for visitors. It's all washed out. And so in fairness to everybody, I don't know that's a visitor space. And not only do the contractors park there, but our own staff parks there.
And they're not
over and over and
all
over
right,
every day.
So who do we go over, when that is totally against the rules. The employees are that's something we should bring up to VMS, because that is a policy that the employees can only use the visitor spaces for loading and unloading, or an emergency. They get there's water all over the building. So we have to look at that, but we also look at the markings. Who would be looking at that? Is that M&C or is it traffic? All right, so, but it's not traffic hearing. Siobhan, how should what?
General Services handles painting for the village.
Well, the thing is we hate to overload anybody, but some of the areas that are painted are almost you can almost not tell what it is. So that should be a project at some point in time.
And it would be great if you have areas that you've already identified, if you can share those with us to get us a jump start, that would be great.
All right, okay. So are we ready to move along to, yes,
We
Steve?
have a request to speak.
Request to speak. Another thing that I have problems with, especially in my cul-de-sac, is where employees park on red lines. And when they do it, you can't get a big pickup through there, much less fire equipment. And I'm just about to the point where I'm going to go up and demand they move. It just happens all the time, and they run off and leave their vehicles. So.
We'll address both of those items with staff.
I never have that where I live. Oh, well. Okay, in any case, good points, and I know Siobhan will take care of it. So, and we're glad you're here. All right, so next, report of the Communications Committee. Go ahead, Bert.
The Communications Committee will meet tomorrow at 1:30 in the boardroom. Our emphasis is going to be on all these issues we've just been talking about. How do we let the residents know when there's construction in their area, particularly when there are long-range projects that we've just mentioned, like clearing for OCFA on the slopes and installing fencing, clearing up the area on Ridge Route. So we will discuss that in great length as to how we can do a better job of this. And Bill Walsh, who is really concerned, will be at that meeting, he says, tomorrow. Thank you.
We're also going to try to do some continuity or in our notification. Sometimes somebody gets a notice 2 months in advance, sometimes they get it a week in advance. And these are primarily for M&C projects, so we're going to notify them. And also perhaps make the information that comes out to the resident clearer. So I know Eileen's trying to work on that, so we're really excited about that. All right, report of energy and technology. Well, Director Walsh isn't here. And I would probably say the primary thing on that was talking about the charter, which we discussed already. So our next meeting is August 1st in the Cypress Room. So now we're over to the Water Subcommittee. Director Tung.
Thank you. Could I have the second slides, please? Well, I don't know whether but directors, you can see just, I want to call your attention to the bottom three lines. This month, or month of May, the latest, that we still have a tier 3, $4,420, and a tier 4, $2275.6. And then the last two lines, one shows irrigation and one is residential. Well, there's still quite a bit of irrigation, and I'm still, every day I'm pushing our landscape staff to work on those irrigation part. In fact, we're going to set up the policy that try to reduce and eliminate the tier 3, tier 4 water meters. And so that see how we'll see how that goes. If it turn out the landscape does not look that great, and then we have to alternatively come back. But the first step is to eliminate those meters. And the other thing is next slide, please. And this is one, again, shows prioritize all the tier 3, tier 4 meters as the highest on the top. And in fact, the top few, if you look at the residential, the top one, 5595. I look at it, this one does not have any leak. So I will give the list to Siobhan, and time for you to send out letter. And this 3106, again, there's no leak. Leak is being fixed, but the water meter at the 5476, there's slight chance of leaking. I look at it, the dial keep moving slowly, so I already gave this to plumbing division to fix the possible leaking. And the last comment is last slide, next, please. This one is I always aiming when the finance department report the water total water bills, there's always a accrued value, which means they have to forecast some. So now look at the bottom line of this slides, the accrued is over $1,066,000, but actual one was only $1,006,000, so about $60,000 difference. That's why I always say, okay, you take granted the salt for that water bill, because a lot of times they report too high than what we actually spent. So thank you very much. And our next meeting is August 14th. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Tung. A report of the Resident Policy and Compliance Task Force.
We haven't met for a while. We're going to meet. I'm trying to set a meeting for next week, and I will notify everyone about the date. And one of the things we're going to discuss is Steve's suggestion about how we can set up a matrix in terms of violations and how they're handled, so that we have a real smooth system for operating in that area. Thank you.
Somebody brought up to my attention that if you want to rent a unit, it says on the form 8 days for United and 10 days for Third. So why does ours take longer?
That's a very good question, and I don't have an answer.
But I'm sure.
And it may be historical, but I can ask.
But I'm sure Siobhan will take care of it.
I think the list is growing.
I'm sure she will.
I mean, I think it's probably something from the past, but it shouldn't be. We try to have all things similar, so therefore, we should fix that. Okay. So now to be GRF committee highlights, community activities, well, the meeting's coming up. Finance, I was there. I would say that the next, other than all the budget meetings that we have, the next meeting is August 22nd. And I believe at that meeting, they're going to be reviewing our investments. Is that correct? Yes. So that meeting is August 22nd at 1:30 in the boardroom. So everyone is welcome to that, including our directors. Maintenance and construction, the next meeting is August 8th. I went to the PAC ad hoc committee meeting, and we discussed basically, Ernesto had a wonderful plan as to how he was going to take the $2 million that is allocated for PAC to be handling life safety issues, compliance issues. And then Brad had some ideas as to slight improvements that need to be made in dining room 1 and 2, including renaming those, which would be a great thing for a performing arts center. So they talked about it, so they had very good plans, and Ernesto did a great job with that. So I don't know when the next meeting is going to be. They said in August, but I suggested to Brad, why should we meet so soon if we've already determined the budget? We should have an excitement committee. How can we make the Performing Arts Center more exciting for the community? Never mind, we've already discussed how we're going to spend the money, but that's not up to me. That's up to Brad and the GRF.
Let me elaborate a little bit on that, please.
Go right ahead.
Well, there's $1.5 million now that has been put forward for the PAC project. The board, that committee approved another $2 million. So
Right.
now for the total package, about $3.5 million plus some additional costs, and that's where the project stands.
Yes, but all of that money, the $1.5 million for this year and the money for next year, has all been planned already. It has to do with air conditioning, it has to do with life safety. So Ernesto had an entire plan for what he's going to do with the
But
money.
it wouldn't have moved forward if the board hadn't approved it, if that committee hadn't approved it at that meeting.
Well, he's got to go, well, the $1.5 million was approved last year. The $2 million won't be spent until next year. So it's, and we approved that at the budget meeting. So in any case, they're going to determine what has to be done next on the list, but Ernesto has a great plan for what we have to do. We even still have money from 5 years ago that they haven't spent on the curtains that is going to be spent. All right, so the media and communications meeting, any comment?
That was yesterday. I think Brad pointed out all the highlights with the moving of the analog stations and the upgrading of the wireless, installing the hardware, the nodes. So that does it.
We're looking forward to improvements in the media. I mean the television media. And also, people are still complaining about the music with the television listing. It used to be classical music, and now it's all over the board. So we just didn't say it has to be classical, but it should be something a little bit sophisticated or something. And so they said they were working on it, but Chuck is very busy. Mobility and Thrive, does anyone go to the Thrive meeting?
Mobility and Vehicles Committee.
No, I'm up to Thrive. Has anyone attended the Thrive meeting? No, there's not, all right, we don't have anything to report on that. I can't speak. Mobility and Vehicles, is that you, Director Frankel?
Yes, it is. Siobhan, that is probably, the buses are probably the biggest hot button issue we have in the entire community. I do not envy Judith at all. And unfortunately, there's no ready solution to go back to the system we had. And that's all we really talked about, and it's continually on the front page. They-
Okay, thank you, John. And security and community access?
Security met on June 28th and talked a little bit about a device called Stove Alert. The chief is looking into it. It's a device that is hardwired into your stove or oven or both. And when the fire alarm in your unit goes off, this device shuts your appliance off. My question, of course, is by the time the fire alarm goes off, it may be too late in order to warn you that those plastic pots that you left on your stove have melted and started to burn, which happened, I believe, earlier in the week. We also, interestingly enough, Siobhan, correct me if I'm forgetting something here, but I think the issue of issuing body cams to our security people came up. No decision made. Again, the chief is looking into it for us. And most importantly, we've changed our monthly meeting date to the fourth Monday of the month. So our next meeting is August 27th, not the 23rd, which is listed on this agenda here. And disaster preparedness meets on the 31st. And I talked about that, I think, last month.
Okay, somebody brought this up to me. They said, we have a lot of ununiformed employees. And I said, no, our employees wear uniforms. And maybe the people don't know what the uniforms are because we're specific. You know, we have the blue color for this. That might be something interesting. I know that we always have plenty to report, but we know what landscape is supposed to wear. We know what M&C is supposed to wear. It might be some interesting thing. If you see whatever, this person looking like this, I mean, we know what security looks like, but it could be something that we could share information, because I'm always saying, of course they have uniforms on.
That would be a good article for the Breeze.
But it would, you know, this person is doing this person is doing that. Just, again, we're always trying to talk about communication. Okay, so, and I thought that had to do with security. So next thing on the list is future agenda items. So one of the items that we know is a future agenda item, because Steve alluded to it, is a payment plan agreement for things that aren't assessments for finance. So can we put that down as a future agenda item so we don't lose sight of that? And
Yeah, fines and fees.
and fines and fees, and fines, fees, and chargeable services. And the thing is that the non-emergency chargeable services should be coming around, so we could leave that on there. So now it is time for director comments, and in a few minutes, it'll be 12:30, so we would say, yay. All right, so, Bunny, have anything?
I just want to make a comment that Steve and I are going to be leading a purchasing class for directors, and we're putting the materials together. We met with Bruce yesterday, and it looks like it's going to take us about, 3 or 4 weeks to get all the materials together because we have to rely on staff. But we will also extend the invitation, to other boards. And I was also thinking it might be nice to extend the invitation to any new applicants, for the board if they would like to attend. But I just want to make people aware.
And so we don't have a date yet?
No.
Okay,
Yeah.
but it's a great idea, and we really appreciate your work in that area. Okay, John, you have anything? No, thank you. But we're looking forward to that traffic meeting. Steve?
No.
Well, I'm really interested in what Bunny said. I wonder if my wife can attend so she knows how to shop online at Amazon.
I just did last night. Jules?
Yes, it's not particularly a Laguna Woods issue, but one of the things that we might want to actually do as part of our promotion and letting people know what a wonderful community this is to highlight all of the great musical attractions and classical music that's available around here. We went to a concert of the Laguna Woods Orchestra at Laguna Hills Community Center about a week and a half ago, and saw a performance by a woman named, a very young Taiwanese violinist named Man Wen Lo. Never heard of her, didn't expect anything. It was a performance of Mendelssohn's Violin Concerto, which was as good as anything I've ever heard in my life. And I have attended Joshua Bell and Yitzhak Perlman and Zeno Francescatti, and this was up in that area, just phenomenal. Soca has phenomenal concerts. A few weeks ago, or a month or so ago, we saw the winner of the Van Cliburn piano competition. His name is Yekwan Sun Woo. These are tremendous, tremendous performers. And this is a great, adds to the richness of this community. And we really should be advertising and promoting it.
So therefore, we are not in meetings all the time. You get a chance to do at least one or two things.
We actually do get out and around.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Thank you very much, great. And that's something that, I don't know what we have, because there's so many things to have in the new member orientation, and there are always so many things that we have to prospective residents, but there's something that we could talk to Eileen about and ask what we do with that. So I'm winking at Bert, so that Bert will do it, because I don't want to ask Siobhan to do it, because she'll really, if I mention her name once more, she's going to start to scream. Okay, Roy.
Yeah, I just want to thank Bert for being a fantastic board member, a great friend, excellent chairman, tremendous humorist. I appreciate his sense of humor, perhaps more than most. It's usually directed at me, but that's fine. And, you know, we're going to miss you. I mean, advisor, that's great, and I'm glad you're going to do that. But, you know, this is a big piece of history that's going to be lost, I think. Hopefully you can, you know, let us know as much as you know. And I'm looking forward to your great American novel.
I think it's a short story. Okay, Kush. Good.
I concur all the things that you said, Roy. I don't have anything new to talk about, but definitely, Bert, we will miss you on the board, but we will keep in touch and stay with all the current stuff from you.
Anytime you want to buy me a drink, I'm open.
There you go.
All the time.
I was going to say you could become Roy's walking buddy, because I walk with Wei Ming, so I see my finance things, but I don't know. I don't know if I can keep up with it.
Because I'm going to have to get a scooter to keep up with you.
Come on. All right, and before we end, Siobhan, do you have anything you want to add? Okay, I can't even begin to say how much we're going to miss Bert, and of course, we hope that Jules runs, so we won't be talking about personal things, and the rest of us will still be here, I hope. So in any case, thank you all very much. This meeting will recess to closed session. Thank you very much.